When I visited Barcelona for the very first time, approximately 80 years ago, I fell in love with the city. I've been to many places in the world, but this place somehow felt very special to me. And I remember visiting my local friend who was born and raised here. And I told him, hey, Misha, one day I'll move here. After that, I visited Barcelona over the course of the next years with my back then girlfriend, Erica. And she used to like it a lot too. But, when I've asked her if we should move here, she was always a little hesitant. Because, Erica was born in the US, has lived in Australia before. And moving abroad always meant for her to move to an English-speaking country. So in October 2018, Erica and I got married. Since we were still young and we didn't have kids back in the days, we just had our dog, I've asked her, should we just move abroad and try living there for a little bit? That's how we literally ended up in Barcelona within only 5 days of getting married. And you guys have maybe seen the older videos and you guys know how much we just love this place. It just gives us a feeling of peacefulness and calmness and happiness. And especially for me, Barcelona has this very, very special place in my heart because it's where my creativity just bursts out of me. Heck, I even picked up the camera again to make YouTube videos after a very long time. It's also the place where I have turned my passion of making videos into a full-time job. Then only 9 months after moving here, I got some very, very bad news. So in June 2019, my mom and I got the news that my grandma's going to pass away. And when we heard those news, we booked the first flight to fly to Vietnam immediately. And when we've arrived, my grandma was pretty much gone already. But I can say with confidence that I'm pretty sure that she heard us saying goodbye to her. And my grandma was one of the most influential and inspirational people in my life. She used to live with me and my single mom until I was around 15 years of age. And her passing was one of the most pivotal moments of my life. It's where I actually understood the concept of life and death for the very, very first time. My grandma was a Buddhist and she prayed in her room every single day with her gong. And she really practiced what she preached and was just so peaceful, loving and caring. And she was just so content with her life. And she's also the only person I know that said with confidence, not bluffing, that she was not afraid of dying. And I came back to Barcelona with plenty of learnings actually. I was very encouraged and positively inspired by her life. Also seeing all the people that have gathered to say goodbye to her shows how impactful her life was, and that really, really inspired me a lot. 1 month later, my mom called me and she told me that she has found a swollen lymph node somewhere around her neck. And after some scans and checkups, we got invited to a hospital in Berlin to a lung specialist. So my mother-in-law, my wife, my mom and me went there, and he was telling us that my mom had terminal lung cancer. The worst thing about this is that it's a genetic mutation. So it's almost purely being unlucky. And that genetic mutation, I've researched a little bit on it. The research is fairly new on it too, but it mainly happens to young Asian women that have never smoked in their lives. And I remember how I was not able to grasp that message, because I'm just a positive and optimistic person, you know? So I was like, yeah, like, how bad can it be? Like, my mom just gets treatment, and yes, it's gonna be hard, but afterwards she's gonna be fine, right? I've asked that my mother-in-law, who is a doctor too, but I looked in her face and I knew that that's not going to happen. I then looked up things on Google, which you should never do, and the life expectancy of such cancers are usually 3 to 6 months. So, you know, Erica and I, we try to be people of integrity. So for us, it was 100% clear that we should give up our lives here in Barcelona and move back to Berlin to be with my mom. And since the life expectancy was fairly short, we were even keeping the apartment here in Barcelona for another year, because we were thinking that we were going to come back. And fortunately enough, my mom survived way longer than 3 to 6 months. So at some point we just had to make the decision to move back to Berlin fully and commit to a life in Berlin for that period of time. And you know, and even in the midst of the most horrible news you can get, beautiful things happen too. So in January 2021, my first baby was born, and it was one of the most beautiful things in my life, and it's one of the best decisions I've made so far. So the time in Berlin was well spent. Like, I've built my career, I had a baby, but then when you think that life is only getting better, it just got worse. On a random evening, I was taking a shower, and I am super aware of cancer now, right? Like, my grandpa passed away from cancer. My mom has terminal cancer. Like, I'm doing the best to avoid all of that. Like, I'm working out 5 times a week. I'm eating well. But I felt something strange on my nut down there. It was like a tiny mustard seed on top of that testicle. Felt a little strange. I got an appointment at a urologist like 3 weeks later, but my wife was saying to me, no, you should really go to get it checked out like tomorrow morning. It turned out that I also had cancer. So only 2 days after finding this strange thing on my testicle in the shower, I laid on the surgery table for the very first time in my life, ever being in a hospital even. And they removed a cancerous testicle. What happened after that is that they send it to the lab, and then you have to wait for around 2 weeks to get the results back and find out what kind of cancer it is, and also if you need further treatment. And luckily, I went to the doctor very early, I must say. Thank God that my wife urged me to go to the doctor. It turned out that it's one of the better cancers to have. So there's a seminum and non-seminum, and the seminum is the one that you can treat better and that spreads slower. So I got very lucky in that sense. And I was very grateful that I only had to do that surgery. And of course, I need to be under supervision for the next 5 years. But honestly, it really made me realize that my life's mission is to, 1, spread awareness about cancer, yes, but also do everything in my power to prevent this from happening to me, to my family, to my close ones, because I've shared that message, and I'm so happy that I did. And I had messages like from men telling me that they had the same experience. Some even went to the doctor after my video, and they actually had cancer too, and they were so thankful that they got it removed. I can talk about cancer and my mom and all of these things so well because I've just realized how fragile life is, right? Like, it can happen to anyone. But at the same time, it's also beautiful, because without, especially my mom having cancer, I would have not pursued all the things that I wanted to. So, wow. 1 month later, I also had my second child, which was so beautiful. And I can really tell you that being a parent is the most wonderful thing in life. It's a feeling that you have to experience. Like, I can say as much as I want, you just have to experience it. Otherwise, you won't get how much fulfillment and happiness and love being a parent will give you. Like no party, no travels, no money, nothing in the world gets even close to this feeling of being a parent. So I encourage you to have kids one day. I took parental leave, and I've also took my family on a little vacation here to Barcelona. We had a trip booked to Barcelona and we came here just to relax, and this job opportunity came up to work remotely for a German company. And when we were here, I also told my wife, like, should we just see how the housing market is? So I kid you not, somehow this one apartment showed up in my feed for like 10 times. We were like, yeah, now why not take a look at it, right? And you can imagine how it went. So we just fell in love with that place. So we took full risk, went back to Berlin and tried to make this move happen. Even my mom gave us permission to leave because we spent 3.5 years with her. She was always very strict with me, but somehow she just let go, and she was like, if you want to move there, like, you've spent so much time with me, you have your own family, like, you should go. Literally 3 weeks after that visiting appointment, we packed our stuff and we left for good. There are a lot of things in life you cannot influence. But there are also so many things you can't take control over. And I chose to take control of the things I can influence, like my faith, my mental, my physical health, my family, my impact on this planet. Because in the end, life is about living a life that you're proud of, that you're happy with, and that has an impact on not only yourself, but also on others. And that's why we've ended up back in Barcelona. This time not only with our dog, but with the whole family. And this time, we're staying.